over to my channel. Is this your first time of coming to my channel? Thanks a lot. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, like, share and subscribe. So in today's tutorial we are going to be making a simple video on how to cut and sew your basic A-shape gown. Okay, so this form of gown is usually free and you can basically use any kind of fabric to achieve this gown, from your African print to your cotton fabric to your crepe. You can use any fabric of your choice to achieve this style. So what are the basic measurements required in order for you to achieve your simple A-shape gown? Your shoulder measurement, bust, waist, hip and your gown length. Don't forget to join us on Facebook, TD Designs, on Instagram, TG Designs, and also visit our website. We have amazing fashion illustration on our website. All the details are going to be in the description box below. Now let's go ahead now and calculate our measurements. So our shoulder measurement is 18 divided by 2, we have 9 inches. Our bust is 50 divided by 4 plus 2, we have 14.5. Our waist is 48 divided by 4 plus 2, we have 14 inches. Our hip is 52 divided by 4 plus 2, we have 15 inches. Our gown length is 42 plus 2 inches for our hemming allowance, we have 44 inches. So these are the basic measurements required in order for you to achieve your simple A-shaped gown. Now don't forget to watch our previous video on distance calculations and size charts, where I explained like distance from your bust to waist, waist to hip, and all the basic measurements you need. I'm going to go ahead and put down the link of the video here. Please go ahead and watch that video. We've also gone ahead to make the printable form of size chart for you guys, which is available, guys. All you have to do is send us an email, call us or send us a message, and the number is in the description box below. Now this is what the printable size chart looks like. You can see that this size chart starts from size 4 to size 24, and it includes your tie measurements, your shirt measurements, your top, your sleeve length. And one advantage of working with size chart is it enables you to know like the basic measurements to use when you're making dresses for clients, especially for those whereby you don't have the opportunity to take their measurement directly, and you might just be asked to make a dress for a size 14. So how will you know the measurements for shoulder to waist of a size 14, nipple to nipple, and waist to hip, and all of those stuff? So we have it in this size chart, and this size chart is available. Please go ahead and place your order in the description box below. If you have any question in the course of this tutorial, please feel free to drop your questions in the comment section, or any question or any topic you want us to make a video on. And don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, like, share and subscribe. Now let's move to the cutting part of this tutorial. So guys, now we want to cut out, maxi dress, A-shape line maxi dress with lining. So we are going to be using lining to also turn this dress. So this is not like the regular free A-shape dress you get, but it's fitted, but like it's still free a little bit. So what I'm going to do now is, the first thing I'm going to do is to fold my fabric into 4. And of course I'm going to be using freehand method, which means that I'm going to be drafting directly on the fabric. So I've gone ahead to fold my fabric into 4. Now this is the front block, you can see, and this is the back block. So the distance between the front block and the back block is about 2 inches. So the 2 inches at this point is basically for my zip allowance. So I have my 2 inches all the way through to serve as our zip allowance. So once you are done with that, the next thing you have to do now is to go ahead and mark your basic measurements. So start from our shoulder measurements. We'll go ahead and mark our basic measurements. Our shoulder measurement is, so we'll go ahead now and mark our basic measurements. Our shoulder measurement is 9 inches. We've gone ahead now to mark 9 inches. I don't know if you guys can see it, but we've gone ahead now to mark 9 inches. yeah, I think it's better this way, so I might just end up painting it so that you guys can see it. So shoulder measurements 9 inches, shoulder to bust 10 inches, shoulder to bust 10 inches. Can you guys see it? Yeah, shoulder to bust 10 inches. So on this point now, we'll go ahead and mark our bust measurement, which is 15 inches. So I've gone ahead now to mark our bust measurements. Now bust to waist is 8 inches. Bust to waist is 8 inches. I have a detailed tutorial where I explain distance calculation. I'm going to go ahead and put the link of that video here, so go ahead and watch that. That video enables you to know distance between your bust to waist, your waist to hip, and all of that. So on this waistline now, we'll go ahead and mark our waist measurement, which is 14 inches. Go ahead now and mark our waist. I hope you guys can see it, but okay, I think it's clear. Now waist to hip, distance from waist to hip is 9 inches. Distance from waist to hip, we have 9 inches. Now on this hip area, this is where you're going to add inches to your regular inches, right? Your regular hip measurement. So this is where you're going to add inches. So you can decide that you want to add 2 inches, 3 inches, 4 inches. You know, the number of inches you add to your hip measurement basically depend on how free it's going to be. So you can just decide that you want to add 3 inches to your regular hip, or you want to add 4 inches. It depends on what you want. So for me now, I'm going to add 3 inches. So I have 19. Yeah, I think it's clear enough, but so I have 90. This is the hip now, so we'll go ahead and connect our hip to waist. Hip to waist, connect your waist to bust. Now once you connect your waist to bust, the next thing you're going to do now is to go ahead and connect your armhole. So this is our armhole, you can see. Now you're going to go ahead and do what? Mark your neckline. So for me now, the wideness of my neckline, I'm going to use 4 inches for the wideness of the neckline. 4 inches for the wideness. 4 inches for the wideness. Now for the deepness, I'm going to make use of 6 inches. So note that you can use like any measurements at this point for your neckline. It depends on the kind of neck you want to have. And when you are marking your dress, please make sure you mark on the front block, okay, where you don't have your zip allowance. So your measurement should start from this front block where you don't have your zip allowance. So now what you are going to do basically is that on this hip area now, you are going to extend what you have here to your gown length. So basically just extend it to your gown length. You are not deducting any measurement because what you want to achieve is not a pencil effect. So go ahead and extend what you have on your hip up to your gown length. So once I'm done now, I'll go ahead and cut this out. So guys, by the time you are done, this is what you have. You can see your neckline. This is our armhole, and then you can see the shape. So the next thing I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and open up this back block so that we can have 2 pieces for the back block. And basically there are 2 ways in which you can rock this dress. So you can decide that you don't want to have zip at all, that is both for the front block and the back block. You don't want to have zip. If that is what you want to achieve, it means that your neckline has to be deep enough so that it could pass through your head. I don't know if you guys get, but if you want me to make a video on that, on how to achieve this A-line dress without zip, please put that down in the comment section and I'm going to put up a video on that. But basically you just have to make sure that the neckline is deep enough so that you can put it on without your zip. But if you want me to make a detailed video on that, please put it down in the comment section and I'm going to put up a video on how to achieve that. So I'll go ahead basically and just open this up so that I can have 2 pieces for my back block. So once I'm done, by the time I open up my back block, you can see that we have 2 pieces for the back block because we want to attach our zip to it. You can see what we have for the back block is 2 pieces. So we'll go ahead and set this aside. Right, for the front block now, While for the front block, we basically have one single piece, and this is what it looks like. So I'm going to go ahead now and cut out my lining for it. So guys, I quickly want to show you guys something on how to like achieve a very neat finishing when you are cutting out your lining. So let me just show you guys how to achieve that briefly. So now I want to cut out my lining. I've gone ahead to fold my lining into two, and then I went ahead to place my front block, right? So I went ahead to place my front block. Now I'm going to go ahead and cut this out, and then show you guys, you know, how to cut out your lining, show you guys how to cut out your lining in order for you to have a very neat finishing. So let me go ahead and cut this out, and then I'll show you guys how to achieve that. So guys, you discover that, you know, now I've gone ahead to fold the lining into two. I've placed the front block on it, and then I've gone ahead to cut it out. Now look at this lower part. This is where, you know, it's going to determine how neat your dress is. At this point now, both my lining and my fabric are the same length, right? Automatically they are the same length. So don't forget that we added sewing allowance to this fabric in our measurements. We added 2 inches sewing allowance. Now the reason why we added this 2 inches sewing allowance, you can make yours 3 inches, you can make yours 4 inches. It just depends on, you know, how you basically want to turn up this lower part, and that depends on you. So now your lining should be shorter than your main fabric. With that, you're going to have like a very neat finishing. Your lining should be shorter than your main fabric. It could be shorter with about 2 inches, 2.5, 3. It all depends on the amount of inches you added at first as your sewing allowance. It all depends on the amount of inches you added at first for your sewing allowance. So for me now, I went ahead to fold about 1.5 inches. Don't forget that I added 2 inches to my sewing allowance, so 1.5 inches at this point, and then 0.5 inches to join the shoulders together. So that will give me my 2 inches that I added to the gown length. So we'll go ahead now and cut out the lining. You can see that is the lining that I'm cutting out. So the lining will be shorter than the fabric, basically with about 1.5 inches. You can see what it looks like. So by the time it overlaps this way, you're going to have like a very neat finishing at the lower side. This is how it's going to look like. So now we'll go ahead and cut out the back block, and you're also going to have this same effect also at the back block. Your lining should also be shorter at the back block. So let's go ahead now and achieve that. If you have any question, please feel free to drop your questions below. We also want to achieve that neatness at the back block also. So you go ahead now and fold your fabric, you know, make sure you mark it so that both the inches you took for your front block and the back block are basically going to be the same. So I have 1.5 inches this way. I'll go ahead and just fold it, right, and then I'll cut out the lining. So it means that my lining automatically shorter than my fabric. With this, you are going to have like a very neat finishing. Yeah, so this is what it looks like. So now the next thing you are going to do now is basically go ahead and stitch your neckline. So stitch the neckline for the back block and front block. Now this is the front block. Okay, for the back block now, you basically go ahead and stitch the neckline. After stitching the neckline, you stitch this side where you have your zip with your lining, and you also stitch this part. So the only part you are not going to stitch for the back block is your armhole. The only part you are not going to stitch is your armhole. You are going to stitch your neckline, you are going to stitch the 2 sides, and you are going to stitch the lower part also. So the only part you shouldn't stitch is your armhole and your shoulder. Basically also place it on your lining this way. Once you place it on your lining, you go ahead and stitch the neckline. After stitching the neckline, you also stitch the 2 sides and the lower part of your dress. So the only part you shouldn't stitch on this dress is your armhole and your shoulder. So once I'm done stitching that, I'll show you guys what it looks like. So guys, now this is what I have for the back block. So I've gone ahead to turn it with my lining, and I've also gone ahead to fixing my zipper. You can see what it looks like, and by the time we flip it to the back, this is what our back block looks like. I've gone ahead to turn it with the lining. It makes it very neat. Now look at this lower side where I told you guys that for you to achieve like your neat finishing, your lining should be shorter. So you can see how it makes it to be very neat, and you can see that I used like 1.5 inches. So this is what it have. You can basically move it more. It depends on what you want to have at the lower side. So now for the back block, now we have one single piece, and for the front block also, you can see what it looks like. I've gone ahead to also turn it with my lining, and for the back also you can see how neat it is, and you can also see that it's also like the lining, because the lining is short side, gives like a very neat finishing at this lower side. So now the next thing we want to do now is to go ahead and couple this up. So I'm going to place my front block this way, and I'll place my back block on it. So I'll place my back block on it this way. Now what you are going to do now is to go ahead and stitch your shoulders together. You stitch your shoulders together, make use of your bust measurements, waist measurements, and your hip measurement to stitch this all the way. I want to couple this up. So our bust measurement is 50 inches divided by 2. You have 25. Check out what you have here. I have 27 inches. It means I have 2 inches extra. I'll go ahead and mark 1 inch on this part, and I'll also mark 1 inch on this part. So once I'm done, now bust to waist is what? Our bust to waist is 8 inches. So I'll go ahead and mark my 8 inches. It means at this point, this is where we are going to check our waist measurements. And don't forget that I have a detailed tutorial on how to achieve your distance calculation. I'm going to put the link down here. So our waist now is 48 divided by 2, we have 24. I have 27 inches, which is 3 inches extra. I'm going to mark 1.5 at this point, and I'll also mark 1.5. Now we are going to come down to the hip measurement. Now our waist to hip is 9 inches. Waist to hip is 9 inches. So at this point now is where we are going to mark our hip measurement. So our hip measurement is 52, and don't forget that your hip side is usually free. So basically I'm just going to go ahead and just connect my bust to waist, and I'll just bring it outside, because what we want to achieve is to have like a free area around this hip side. So once you are done with that, you go ahead and stitch the sides, and then you stitch your shoulder. So once I'm done, I'll show you guys what it looks like. So guys, now this is what it looks like. You can see that this is what we have for the back block, and for the front block this is what it looks like. So basically I've gone ahead to just attach like my sleeve to it. So you can attach any sleeve of your choice on both sides, or you can leave it as sleeveless. It depends on what you want to, you know, rock your dress with. So I've gone ahead to attach this balloon sleeve to my dress, and this is what it looks like. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please give this video a thumbs up, like, share, and subscribe. And you can see how the lower part automatically turns up and gives like a very neat finishing. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please give this video a thumbs up, like, share, and subscribe. I'll definitely see you guys in my next one. Bye.